the Quiet on the Set documentary. This documentary is so explosive and nobody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about Diddy. When R. Kelly situation was going on, everybody was talking about R. Kelly. Nobody's talking about Quiet on the Set documentary that highlighted the Nickelodeon days, that highlighted Dan Schneider as a producer, allegedly having quote unquote a unsafe environment for kids on and off the set, allegedly, right? Based on this documentary, it highlighted several men and it didn't highlight a couple men. So, but the culture around Nickelodeon, where they had over 5 men, because they only talked about 3 in particular in the documentary so far, but it was over like 5 to 6 men um that was within the Nickelodeon brand and things
Right.
like that. That was convicted pedophiles.
And these are heavy hitters, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
Diane Schneider is accredited to all that. Amanda show with Amanda Bynes.
Mhm.
He has a he's been in the industry for a long time, son, since the mid to late 90s, son.
Mhm.
I think a little bit earlier than that, probably like 94, 95. They've been on because all that was pretty dope show. I don't know if he was on Keenan and Kel.
He was in Good Burger. I remember him in Good
Yeah,
Burger.
so Good Burger, yeah, he was in Good Burger. That was 96. You know what I'm saying? When that movie dropped. So he's been in the game for a long time. And Good Burger comes from one of the skits on Nickelodeon. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
The Nickelodeon movie. So I can only imagine the stories they got there. So my thing is like, again, like, where's the um SWAT team booted up and suited up, busting down your door to take, you know what I'm saying?
Because all this stuff is because I remember Dan Schneider really from the show called Head of Class. It was a show that I used to watch with my older brother when I was little, and it was actually a good show. And it had Robin Givens on the show. It had one of the lead actors from Revenge of the Nerds. So I remember watching the show when I was very little because I remember when I rewatched it, I was like, "What the hell is this Head of the Class?" And I remember the beginning, the theme music and the action for the theme. I was like, "Oh, I remember watching this all the time." And it was one particular episode where he joked on everybody in the class, and
Mhm.
all the jokes was wild offensive, but he thought it was the funniest thing. So it's funny how he wrote those jokes on the show. You know
Right.
what I mean? And he was one of the main show writers of that show, right? So he wrote the jokes on the show. He found it funny, and then for him to fast forward, allegedly create this unsafe environment with Nickelodeon, where the skits that he created, where it was one particular skit where they had this melanated kid that was wearing a nose suit, but the suit of noses look like schlongs. Pause. Right? And then as a nose, at some point you gotta sneeze. So
Right.
when he sneezed, it looked like what?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The juice coming out the schlong. Pause. So and then the kid has on like this bodysuit where he said that it shows his business, and that made him feel uncomfortable. But again, so it was it was like something that was a thing as well. He had a guy who was one of that was highlighted, Brian Peck, where he was the pickle man, and he's walking around with tons of pickles. And they not like the ordinary pickle paws where you go to the store, whatever, whatever. These are like you know lengthy pickles, and he's shoving pickles through the door. He's like, man, one dude was locked in the room. He was like, man, I'm sure hungry, and the door was locked, but the thing was open, the hole.
Right.
Pickle Man walked through. He was like, takes the pickle and put it through the hole. Like,
Yeah. So a lot of his shit was just very, very, very inappropriate. So
yes.
the skits did not make no sense as far as it being the demographics that you showcase in your shows to. You know what I'm saying? Is
Hmm.
other kids, and you using kids to be sly and slick with the skits and the writing, and like,
Hmm.
and consume it and mask it in a form of a joke. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And again, we were young watching this, so we didn't really see the innuendos or really quite understand them as much, but a lot of them were slightly blatant, you know what I'm saying? If you go
Hmm.
back and look at all shows like All That and all that. So again, he was the person that was really on scene. He was the man. It was Dan Schneider, you know what I'm
No,
saying?
right,
Meet up with him, you gonna get on a show, get your little shine, and then piggyback, create your own show.
right.
You know what I'm
But,
saying?
but see, the culture was so thick, pause, that allegedly he said he was just trying to create an atmosphere for kids. So, and it was quite funny that all the young girls that was like kind of like stars, they all had like somewhere along their show, they was eating their foot or licking their own toes or something like that. Or Ariana Grande had a scene where she squeezed water out of a potato, and she's
Like
upside,
wild shit.
yeah, like upside down, throwing water on her face, and you know what I'm saying. It's like, yo, why have all these innuendos on the kid show? You're not running Playboy at night. This is Nickelodeon. You know what I'm saying? So all this stuff was in plain sight of these shows.
And
So
apparently, all his shit is alleged because ain't he on the? I didn't watch it yet, but I've seen the trailer to it. But isn't he like on the show himself? Like he gets to be asked questions. I mean, and he on the documentary as well, Dan Schneider, or like
no,
it's
he's
just
not. He what he every time they had said something that that they felt that he did, they had like a he basically answered the question like he says he didn't do that and blah 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 blah. So they put that into like word form.
okay.
So and then like all the stuff with the slime, they mentioned it in the chat where all these slimy stuff where
Yeah,
it's
I remember.
all these innuendos of
Yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying? You got young girls in the pool with him with their bikinis on. They rubbing his hair. They feeding him grapes and like, what grown man is doing all that like with kids? You know what I'm saying? Most grown men don't even want to be around kids. But if your job is to be around kids, you would think that it would be about kid stuff, and being slimy is not necessarily about being a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like if you guys remember the show Wonder Years, that was about being a kid because it showed different things about growing up. And the stuff that allegedly they saying that he was putting on the show is so overtly in our face, and he created that culture. So one of the guys name was Brian Peck. He was actually arrested on 11 charges of child sexual abuse in 2003 for the with the actor Drake. What's his last name? I forget his last name right now, but his first name is Drake. I don't know why his last name is escaping me right now. Y'all probably help me out with it in the chat, but that particular child actor, he was abusing. He pleaded no contest to two charges of sexual abuse, and he was only sentenced to 16 years. I mean, 16 months. And the reason why he was only sentenced to 16 months because over 40 actors, producers, and I'm talking about high level producers, high level actors that we still know today wrote letters on Brian Peck's behalf on this is not his character. This event is affecting him as a person, and the judge used those contents of characters as part of what type of sentence that they would give him.
wow. So yeah, you got a bunch of high-ranking people in the industry writing you letters. You gonna think differently about somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Hmm.
Even though,
And Drake Bell. Drake Bell. My bad. Yeah, Drake Bell.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So even though what the action that you're doing is horrific,
Mm-hmm.
but because you're in a certain position, it's fine, I guess. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm definitely gonna tap into the series. I mean, to the documentary because I want to see like that's the time frame we was growing up in, watching these shows, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna showcase scenes from the shows and be like, "Oh, this was obscene. This another
Yeah.
evidence of just come on. There's no other way to take this scene for other than what he's there showcasing it as it being." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
So,
then on top of that, which was very uh telling, is that he has like some sort of like room in his house that's dedicated to Planet of the Apes. And then in the middle of the room, there's a big picture of a clown, which happened to be one of the most murderous rapists of all time. Was Wayne Gacy, the murderer that used to dress as a clown, go to kids' parties. He killed over like 30 boys and men and buried them under his house.
mhm.
And he has this big picture of him autographed, and just hey, thank you for being my friend, and has several letters, over like 20 something letters, going back and forth with this gentleman. I don't even call him a gentleman, with this murderer rapist of kids. What would you have in common with somebody like that? Like you see what I'm saying? Like, my favorite athlete growing up was Deion Sanders, Stephon Marbury, Grant Hill. God forbid if they was arrested, I will write them letters just saying like, "Yo, you was I looked up to you as a player. I respect you as a player. I hope you get through your bid, but I'm not writing them any letters if they're raping kids, if they
Right.
kill kids." You see what I'm saying? So, what would you have in common with somebody who rape and kill kids?
What could there possibly be a subject matter that y'all could talk about, son? Like,
Yeah,
there's nothing. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So for that to even be in your home, and it's the culture really, because like you can feel so blatant to just have that out.
Hmm.
It's not something that you hide in behind the cupboard or putting it in a different room. It's something that you have blatantly out. Just
So,
it's too much evidence for the feds not to know nothing. DEA don't know nothing. DEA know where to be found type shit
so,
because
so, so
just
his
look at
so
it.
his crazy- the picture was in the Planet of the Apes room. These letters was on his nightstand.
See what I'm saying? So if you take somebody like that in and you start questioning them after a couple of hours, they might crack. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
there's a lot of probable cause to go in and raid and just find out what's really going on.
No, he had a picture. I'm answering this in the chat. He had a picture of him, and he sent the picture to Wayne Gacy in jail. And Wayne Gacy wrote him back in the picture, said, "Hey, thank you for being my friend. Much love." Like one of those type of responses.
Mhm.
So, like,
Again, though, you know what I'm
uh,
saying?
what would you? Why would you want his autograph? You know what I'm
If it wasn't for that, the reason that he was in jail for the things that he did, and
Correct.
did something else, would you
Right.
still be writing this person? You know what I'm saying? Because
Correct.
it's John Wayne Gacy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if
Right.
you take away what he actually did to go to jail, take that away, then what else? What else are you left with?
Right. If he's writing John Wayne Gacy because he's a dope clown and he went to jail on tax invasion, then I can see you writing the letters. You know what I'm saying? You was such a dope clown that I just want to show you some love, bro. You know what I'm saying? Pause. But if he raping, murdering kids, it ain't got nothing to talk about. Ain't got nothing to talk about. You know what I'm saying? All right, so that was just one of the guys that they highlighted. Another guy that they highlighted, well, was another guy named Jason Handy. They found over 10,000 child pornography photos of SA with two different kids, and he confessed it to admitting to being a pedophile, and he received only 6 years in jail. He worked on Cousin Skeeter. And he worked on Amanda Show, where he was a production assistant, where he brought the kids from the back to the to the set, and then the kids where he found his lane, the kids that wasn't popping, he was like, "Yo, give me a number because I'm always on set. When I hear something, I can hit you up." You know what I'm saying? Like I like the way how you be in the background. So based on you being in the background, I could judge your background talent. And because you're in the background, I could tell you could work as a star on another show, but I'm the production assistant. You see what I'm saying? He
Right.
found the thing, and he got all this stuff and only got 6 years. So here's what's crazy on top of that. So he did 6 years, right? He gets out after his 6 years. Then in 2014, was arrested again for 3 different counts of what they call indecent liberties with the child. So now he's in jail until 2038. Good riddance.
Oh, that's a fact. They finally got him. So yeah, that again, that to have those type of people in that position of power at that time with their type of backgrounds and the stuff that they into is just one maybe, but a couple is just
We talking about at least 5.
that's a lot, son.
And they
That's a lot.
describe they describe Jason Handy in particular, the boy next door, the nice guy, the guy that always went the extra mile to make sure that the kids was good and safe.
That's the one. That's the one that's now flipped the script on you.
There was one mother that said because he was supposed to be looking out for her daughter, she was doing the background stuff in the Amanda Show. So he got her email. Oh, okay, cool. A grown man with a kid's email. You should be emailing the parent. So the mother lets it rock. So the little girl runs by crying. So she's like, "What are you crying about?" Jason sent me a photo of him butt naked with the meat out, pause, saying, "I just want to show you that I was thinking about you." And he gets this.
So we talking about to a young female actress on the show.
Correct. And
Send
she
it to-
worked the background. That's what I'm saying. He found his lane on the background actress, so he got their names and be like, "Yo, because I'm on set, you know what I'm saying? I could put you
Yeah, I
on."
could put you on. Yeah, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Straight monster, straight monster. Next dude, Ezra Channel, a freelance assistant convicted of molesting 2 young children and only got 6 years. And he's doing this on set. He's bringing kids on set to molest.
Yeah, it's a culture for sure. There's too many people in the pot not to know nothing. So
Not to know nothing. And these are not alleged. I'm reading what happened. Marty Weiss is a talent manager for Nickelodeon. He was convicted on lewd acts with a 12-year-old boy, and the 12-year-old boy said he did stuff to him over 30 to 40 times in a span of 3 years. And this just started when he was 12 years old.
mhm.
And he only served less than 6 months in jail.
On the set.
On,
On the set, son.
you feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Less than 6 months. Less than 6 months. So this culture that's created when you have 5 known. These are the 5 that was caught. Just because these the ones that were caught, that don't mean everybody got caught. These are the 5 that was caught. So if you got 5 pedophiles on set, that means that there's a mindset and a level that's going on amongst the set that the shaky stuff that's going on, like, yo, it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. That's the wrong set to have. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You want to be in a set where it's like, oh, 5 top tier, and they all in their positions. Everybody do something positive, not um this gathering of people that have this background and it's all happens to be with children and you work with children. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's for that occurrence to happen is, and we're talking about the industry, so it's very small.
Mm-hmm.
Not that many people run this shit. So again, it seems as though more the aspect of it being a culture and it's something that has been going on for a long time. Corey Haim was talking about it. You know what I'm saying?
Him and Corey Felder. Mm-hmm.
Facts.
I just watched
Uh,
the movie with both of them earlier.
Now
Mm-hmm.
I could say I'm bugging, but this could be a reach. But is that why Amanda Bynes had those occurrences? You know what I'm saying? Because of all right, what you're telling from the DVD, the documentary, that this quote unquote is alleged, but based on these people's background is very highly likely. You know what I'm saying? So if we're saying that, and we know Amanda Bynes was part in a couple of different shows, you know what I'm saying? I remember her all that, and then she had her own show after that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And
Is
you
that
you
trauma from all those years of, you know what I'm saying?
but it's not just her, it's
Right. That's
yo.
one that's just one example
Right.
of us seeing. Why I mentioned that is because we saw the breakdown, and then when that was happening, we didn't understand why that breakdown was occurring. So
Mm-hmm.
through the media lens, they just spun it as, oh, she bugging out, she tripping, right?
Mm-hmm.
This
Mm-hmm.
documentary come out and seems as though it might have been something else going on. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? From what y'all say in the documentary, if you go back and realize, like, okay, Amanda Bynes was tripping, could this possibly be like if it's a culture of these people around having jobs, still continuously working with these
Essay.
backgrounds, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's not far fetched now. It's not a reach now. You know what I'm saying?
And then
It's
some
all within grasp.
And then some of the stuff was caught on tape. Like going back to the Brian Peck dude, there was this video footage of Leonardo DiCaprio when he was a child actor, where he's helping him with his lines because he's a dialect coach. He's helping him with his lines and he's helping him with his costume. And the way he's touching and rubbing his elbow ever so slightly, you could tell it was on some, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the type of time he was on. They caught this on tape. They caught this on tape.
And I'm pretty sure that was by accident. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't definitely
Right.
intentional. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
they didn't catch it on purpose. They caught that.
Right. Because it's so prevalent in the culture, you
Mm-hmm.
go to work and you cool. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you do at work, you're not gonna get slimed. Even though what you're doing is egregiously inappropriate, it crosses many boundaries and many lines. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's back to the culture being bred that you feel as though you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And was probably doing it for a long time. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like we're not getting the same energy behind the resolution of this matter. If y'all could just come up with a documentary, okay, that's cool. There should be heads rolling. You know what I'm saying?
And then to the same dude, and you got people that are monsters that work so crazy. So Drake Bell's father was his original manager. This is worth mentioning. He was his original manager. In the very beginning, he said, "Yo, I don't like this guy. This guy is real. I don't like his energy around my son. Stay your ass away from my son." So what he ends up doing, because now that father and his mother is going through a divorce. So that father is driving an hour back and forth so that way he could get to his, his lessons, he could get to do his acting and so on and so forth, right? So now the man drives a wedge between him and the son by telling the son, he was like, "Man, you're a good actor, but you're gonna lose opportunities because your father's tough, and because he's tough, people not gonna want to like work with you because he's difficult.
Right.
So now that drives a wedge. So now he goes talk to the mother, which the mother already got. Anytime you would have if the fellas that are in this, anytime you have energy with a woman where you're getting divorced or y'all having issues with the kids, if a woman is being told that uh, 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 you're a possible deterrent of that kid's future, then that's just adding gasoline to a fire. Whether it's right or wrong, that's adding gasoline to a fire. And in this instance, it's wrong. So
Hmm.
now he goes to the son, he goes to the mother. So now the son and the mother is like, yo, you shouldn't be in control of his career no more. You shouldn't be his manager. You need to fall back. And because they forced him to fall back, they went through their divorce. And now he's living in one area, they living in one area. So now he's not in charge of driving them back and forth. Now the mother is. So now what dude says, I know you get tired driving him back and forth. I know you don't really want to do it. I'm already in the area. Just have him spend the night with me. And we only like 5 or 10 minutes from the studio. And we can work on what we need to work on. And you won't have to worry about nothing.
That's such an easy finesse that, again, if the father was there, it would have been. Isn't if that conversation wouldn't even happen. You know what I'm saying?
So
Uh,
so fast forward, the son and the father now is estranged. So he calls the dad. He said, look on the news." He looks. He's the father said, "They finally caught him, huh?" He said, "Man, I'm glad I got him away from you." So the kid couldn't even. He couldn't. He just want to be cool with his pops. He couldn't find it in him to tell his pops that
yeah,
he's the reason why he's this guy is caught until later
right.
on.
It happened. It happened to him. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
And then when he finally told his pops, now imagine what the father emotion is that he couldn't protect his son. That's
Even
why.
though he was doing it in the beginning.
Right.
So yeah, that's tough, man. It's and that's how they play. They know how to sink their teeth in the situation to create that separation, where they can manipulate that area, that gray area, for where the separation happens, and then they find their way in. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So again, they still out and about,
Hmm.
living and breathing, and everything good, but other people is going down. I'm just saying, if one person does it and it's wrong, then if another person does it, it's also wrong too. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of who's doing it. So
And
it's like when I'm picking and choosing it, it just looks sus. You know what I'm saying?
hmm yeah, I mean, it's saying what can his father do? Them people truckloads of money. Well, in the very beginning, his father was protecting him, right? But because he got removed from management and him and his wife was going through a divorce, he couldn't be around the set because they painted a picture to the son and the mother that he was going to be the deterring factor of the kid getting jobs.
Right. And that's helping the family out. So
Right.
it's easier to go after the woman with this frivolous notion of like, yeah, he could spend the time in my house, so it just saves you from driving. If the man would already seen through that, like, nah, it wouldn't even happen because ain't
Right.
no way that man is gonna go to the father and be like, yeah, your kid can stay at my house. And my
Yeah,
kid can do what?
right.
Nah.
Right. Not happening. That's not happening.
And again, I'm not saying, but mothers can't do that at all. But when it comes to this type of scenario, again, it's a small window of people in this where
Mhm.
you're relying on your child to make money for you because they work in the industry.
Right.
It's a totally different way of, if you think about it, it's a totally different way of parenting because your child is making more money than you.
Right.
So the parent,
Basically.
how do you conceptualize that and put it in an area where you could still be the parent even though your child makes more money than you, and to the point where you're depending on your child to continuously make money because now you're comfortable with a certain type of lifestyle that your child is bringing. i.e., because they're getting booked for more shows and more gigs, right? But if we're saying that the industry is the way it is because it seems like as though it was a culture that what what was done during those quote unquote casting sessions, and I need you to come to a casting call, and when it gets to the point when the mother is not there, again, it can happen to many other actresses and actors
Mm-hmm.
coming up that we don't even know about because they didn't make it that far. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're
Mm-hmm.
living in a culture where you feel as though that it's normal to do these things, anybody is prey and everybody is prey.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case and they're breathing that type of environment, they could have they probably stunt a lot of careers, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Being of being in that mind state where they feel that that's something that is cool on the Tuesday at 2 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah. So and they asking a question. Would you guys turn a blind eye? Is my question. It's not about turning a blind eye because the father didn't turn a blind eye. It's when you going through things with
Your
your
personal life, and they use that
right, the
to
other
finesse the joint. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
other person. You because you when you're in a relationship, you dealing with you and somebody else, and the somebody else when they have your child, like sometimes you don't know what's going on, and
Because you're
that
not there. It's point blank period. You're not there.
you have your time with your child, and they have their time with your child. So when they have their time with your child, you're hoping that your child is in the best, safest place that
You
they
hoping that, you know what I'm saying?
can. That,
But
but you,
perfect example of it being an industry as far as entertainment is concerned, but a different genre.
hmm
Example is Usher went on and said this himself. He was young and went to flavor camp with Diddy when he was 14, around
hmm
the same age as most of these people in the that they talk about in the documentary for Nickelodeon.
hmm
And they asked him, he was on a Howard Stern show. They asked him like, what was it like? So he's being vague and very dismissive on his answers because it wasn't really direct. You know what I mean? Men answer with direct, but if it's something funny going on, you're gonna be vague with your sentence structure. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
So he mentioned that he was just there to see the life, and he said that there was times where stuff I had no business seeing. We don't know what that means. That's very vague. You know what I'm
hmm
saying? So the next pivotal question that he asked was, if you have kids now, would you let your child grow through camp as you did? And he said, hell no.
hmm
Again, you know what I'm saying? A lot. If this is the culture that we talking about, you know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. I'm bringing that aspect of the Diddy situation with Usher because he said it out his own mouth. Pause. Now this scenario with Nickelodeon is the same type of tactic. You get young impressionable kids at a young age, and you start breed. You know what I'm saying? Start um, steering their viewpoints on life. So where what you're doing to them is it gets to the point where it's okay. It's
yeah,
something that
yeah,
you do. You know what I'm saying,
and
oh,
and
you help me with my vocals. You
mhm,
got to do this to help me with my vocals. You know what I'm saying?
mhm. And last point I want to bring up before we move on, because we're starting to run short on time.
Right.
Dan Snyder, one of the writers, he asked her to act out what it would be like to be sodomized, and she had to do this in the writers' room in front of the other writers.
That's what I'm talking about.
And
It's the culture.
this is alleged because the writer said this happened, but Dan Snyder said this never happened. So we have to put alleged on this. So
Right. So
yeah.
the interesting question so dignity over money? Again, I can't make that. Um, I can't answer that for them. All I could go based upon the actions that they say happen. So,
Mhm,
like my bro just said, they asked her in a conference room to act out a vicious scene of something happening to you, and
mhm,
you actually do it. So, that's a perfect example of the question of dignity over money.
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't you now use that and say that, okay, did they choose dignity to do that, or did they choose money? You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
When you make your own choice, you know what I'm saying? That's the action that they chose. You did it. If you stood on your principle, you would not do it. And who knows what would happen if you defied them, because they felt that they were in positions of power to hold sway over people. So if you said no, most likely you get fired. And this is your dream job, and this is what you want to do. So
But
again,
she was told that in this instance, she was like, I don't really want to do this because this hits home for me because this is something that actually happened to me. And he's like, if you care about your job,
right. You know what I'm saying? Again, the
allegedly,
dignity over money, right.
allegedly,
Allegedly. You know what I'm
right?
saying?